We have yet again another massive update with the LAN around the corner. Jetpacks have now been vaulted and armored walls have also been massively nerfed. We also have news that Tayson is not going to be filling in at the LAN. He's actually been banned for 14 days. I also want to talk about what is going on with all the cash cups, why were they cancelled, and why is no tournament working at the moment and it seems like everything is bugged. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Let's kick off with the big one, the jetpack being vaulted. Now again, for you casuals watching, don't worry, it's only vaulted from competitive, but if you care at all about tournaments, that's probably a bit frustrating for you to hear. Now, I know a lot of people are asking for this because there was quite a lot of bugs in the game with the jetpack. The most recent one was you could hit the jetpack and a grim dash and you could fly across the entire map in like 3 seconds. You're probably thinking that's why they vaulted the jetpack. Aussie, I know you wanted it, but it was broken. They fixed that. They posted an update to fix the jetpack, which got rid of that exploit, and then they still decided to vault it from tournaments. Now, am I sad the jetpack is gone? Yes, and let me explain why. It's because I really wanted a fun, unique mobility item in the game. I don't want a no mobility meta again. I find them so much more boring to watch. But let me preface this. We are about to go into the LAN. We're going into the LAN on the 7th and 8th of September. It's like basically a week away at this point. If we have no jetpacks for that, which keeps the pros happier, it makes it more skillful, it makes it more fair, and we can look at this LAN and say the best team won because there was no broken mobility items, I'm okay with that. I'm worried about the rest of the season of cash cups. I don't want to watch or play the next 2 months of cash cups with absolutely no mobility in the game. But I think Epic might actually be fixing that. Remember, we do have the massive Stark update right around the corner in week 5 of this season. And I think with that, we are going to get the Iron Man repulsor kind of like jet, whatever we saw in the trailer. There was an Iron Man mobility item that isn't in the game. There was the Iron Man Stark mythics that were in the game as well. And they were in the trailer and they aren't there yet. So I'm guessing we are going to get some kind of an update bringing these items in a few weeks. So fingers crossed we see that. So as far as this, I'm not going to let it completely ruin my vibes coming into the LAN. I still feel like it would have been cool to watch the LAN with the jetpacks. They were really fun. They were really exciting. And I truly don't think they're super broken. And I think a lot of pros know this as well. I've said this a few times. You're going to see a lot of pros complaining about the jetpacks on the timeline, saying they're the worst thing in the world. They're terrible. They're awful for the game. A lot of that is just because that team isn't getting them. You think of all of the most fun seasons in the past that people absolutely love and rate really heavily. You've got Stark season, the Hammer season, Katana season. They've all got a unique, fun mobility item that makes them really exciting. So I truly do think it was just a lot of pros who weren't going to get the jetpacks at LAN because of their drop spot. So of course they wanted to do what they could to get them taken out of the game. Now you could say that's ridiculous because that's terrible. They're ruining the game for the rest of us, but the LAN's only a week and a bit away. If we focus on what's the best meta for the LAN, the pros being the happiest and make it the best event possible, I'm okay with that. But Epic, please do not have us going the rest of this season, all of the cash cups we have with no mobility. It is going to get so boring on what is a very good season. I like the weapons this season. I like the map. I like everything about this season. We just need at least one good mobility item, please. Have you ever been watching a pro absolutely dominate a lobby and thought, what makes them different to me? Other than, of course, the thousands of hours they put into the game, and in my case, being over half my age. What gear do they use? What do they play on? Is their mouse better? Is their keyboard better? Are their monitors better? You of course then do what everyone does in this situation. You head to their Twitch channel, you type in !mouse, !keyboard, monitors. You find out every piece of gear they have, you make a giant list, but now you have to get your hands on all this gear. And a lot of the time, these pros are using keyboards or mice that you've never heard of before and you have no idea where to get them from. Well, that's where shipping comes in. Shipping connects you with local shoppers around the world who can buy and ship products to you quickly and affordably. Here's how it works, and it's super simple. You just make your order on Shippin', a local buyer then buys it and then ships it straight to your address. They'll even ship products that maybe you couldn't get into your country on other websites. So if you're tired of waiting and you want your gaming gear to arrive faster so you can be decked out just like the pros, make sure you use Shippin' and use code Antics20 at checkout to get a 20% discount. Good luck, and thanks to Shippin', your next upgrade is just a click away. I will mention again, they're only vaulted in tournaments, but Epic did nerf them right before vaulting. Like I said, they made a change where it reduced the initial boost speed by 60%, and they've also now changed it so you can't keep your momentum after you cancel the boost. So doing the boost canceling and sliding is a bit harder now. You can still do it bunny hopping, there's still some tricks, but ultimately the jetpack is now worse for pubs and for ranked gameplay as well. So it's a little bit sad to see Epic nerf it, I'm guessing because of tournaments, and then still remove it from tournaments anyway. This is obviously Aussie gonna leave. A lot of casuals very upset, saying, you know, sweats and pros ruined the game yet again. But again, if we add some shockwaves, we add a new Iron Man item, I think a lot of casuals will be very, very okay with this. We just gotta hope they've got something cooking, because they didn't say whether it's gonna stay vaulted for the whole season. They could potentially just have it vaulted for now. Again, we run the LAN event, and then they bring them back in the game. We've only got 1 week of cash cups until the LAN event anyway, so it's really only going to affect 1 week of tournaments before they can then bring them back or do whatever, and it won't be as big of a deal. So maybe I'm just coping, maybe I'm just hoping for too much, but fingers crossed we get something in the next few weeks. Now, speaking of cash cups, what just happened with the solo victory cup being cancelled on every region, and what happened with the FNCS pickaxe on NA? So it was a little bit messy. So we had the solo victory cups cancelled today or yesterday as of you watching this video because of a bug, and the bug happened both during the EU and the NA pickaxe tournament. Now, I'm not sure whether it was the same bug on EU. There was literally just too many people playing. There was so many people who wanted to win the FNCS pickaxe. They were playing a tournament for a cosmetic that it broke the queues. No one could get into game. Yeah, everyone had to wait, and they ended up adding 30 minutes, and more people were a little bit upset. There was issues that started late. For the most part, everyone was happy because it kind of worked. NA, different story. Halfway through the NA tournament, all of Fortnite just kind of went down. You couldn't really queue up for games. Some people could. When you went to check where the maps were, there was just no games to play. You could only look up creative maps. You couldn't even queue in a battle royale. You couldn't queue in a no build. There was just nothing there. It was really weird. They then fixed this issue, but then despite this, decided to rain out the current pickaxe tournament. Now, I'm no sports expert. I play a lot of sports growing up, though. I watch a bit of sports. I always thought rained out meant canceled, like something's gone wrong, out of your control. You cancel the tournament, you're running another time. They announced this, and everyone stopped playing the tournament because they thought, oh, well, there's nothing yet to earn. They're going to reschedule it. They then ended up giving out the pickaxe to anyone who had gotten top 1,000 at any time in the tournament. If you did really well in your first game, popped off, dropped like a 30 kill win, got up to top 1,000, but then did terribly and stopped playing, you got the pickaxe. But people who were, you know, around top 1,000 points, with top 1,000 with only 30 minutes to go, who stopped playing, they didn't get it. So they are rescheduling it, so at least they gave it to a bunch of people who didn't earn it, but kind of earned it, and now they're going to give everyone else another chance to earn it. But apparently, if you've already earned it, you're not allowed to play the second version of the tournament, but I have no idea how Epic's actually going to enforce that. Either way, as you're probably hearing, it was an absolute nightmare. The tournaments just didn't work, and Epic wanted to avoid this, so they then canceled the victory cups on every region to make sure this bug doesn't happen. We now have the eval cup taking place as of today, so hopefully that will be a good test to see if the bug comes back, but it looks like the bug is happening because there's too many people playing the tournament, and I don't think we're going to have that bug in an eval cup, but I guess we'll see. I'll be watching on my Twitch channel. You can tune in and see if it's actually working, because if we have another season of cash cups just breaking tournament after tournament, it's going to be really sad. Now, another change they did make to the meta right now, but isn't taking place until the next update, is they've reduced the armor wall cap. Now, this is a fantastic change. This is one of my biggest issues with the season. I love armored walls. I actually think they're really good and competitive in small amounts. When, you know, you're getting lobby focused by a player, your teammate goes down, you chuck up an armored wall, you get a clutch res, or, you know, you're fighting someone, you can block them off. I think they're quite skillful, but carrying 15 of them each in duos was just absurd. You could have 30 of them in high ground at the end of the game, and you're just tarping with full armored walls. It was a bit ridiculous. So they're reducing that down to 6. You can only carry a max of 6, not 15. I think this is a fantastic change. I'd also love to see them drop a lot less and drop them only in single stacks, so it's much harder to get up to those 6 armored walls. If you've been doing a bunch of W King, you've got a bunch of kills, you've looted a very big POI, you should have some armored walls, but I don't think if you loot a random POI at the end of the match, have no kills, you should be having, like, you know, full armored walls. At least that's just my opinion. But this change hasn't gone into effect yet because there needs to be a game update for this to go through. So apparently, Asarian looked at this for me. Again, Asarian, awesome, fantastic people who run a bunch of cool stuff over on their website and on Twitter. They told me the reason for this being is they could reduce the overall armored wall cap, but it would take it out of pubs as well. And the way Fortnite wants to do it is they want to have less armored walls in competitive, a cap of 6, but in pubs you can still carry 15. And for them to make that change, they need to wait for an update, which is going to be on September 4th. There's a similar situation to what's going on with the Monarch pistol, where they've changed it, but they've only changed as a band-aid fix, and in the next update there is going to be a major change. So we are getting a lot of things updating on September 4th, right before the LAN event, which should be very interesting to see what that means for the LAN. Speaking of the LAN, we do have a few changes around the drop map. We have a few changes that are affecting some of the big name teams. One of the biggest changes is Peterbot and Pollo have decided they want to start fighting Clix and Veno for the forecast tower. Now, Clix and Veno's strategy really heavily relies around the forecast tower at snobby steps. It's one of the main parts of their gameplay. They secure that, they get the loot, they use that mount for their surge tags, and with the forecast tower, that's how they can position really, really well throughout the rest of the game. Now, the jetpack being removed does actually affect Clix and Veno quite a lot. I'm not just saying that. That's what Veno himself was saying today in my Twitch chat. It does mess up their ability to get around the map a little bit more, and it does reduce their ability to get surge with them playing Storm for so long, but that's not really an issue anymore because their biggest problem is having to fight Peterbot and Pollo for it. Now, Peterbot and Pollo stamped their spot on the forecast tower and said they are going to fight for it every single game at LAN. Again, Peterbot was in my Twitch chat talking to Veno about it. I was like, hey man, it looks like you're going to be contested by 3 or 4 teams at LAN. You're not going to have time to go for the forecast tower. He said, I don't care. I'm going for the forecast tower, even if I have to leave the POI as quick as I can. So I don't know whether it's actually going to play out like that on LAN, but in scrims today, they went at it 6 games in a row fighting for the forecast tower every single time it spawned. So it's going to be interesting to see what that means for both teams coming into the LAN. That could be honestly disastrous for both of them. We'll have to see. Maybe a few teams pull out of Raft and then Peterbot and Pollo go back to not going for the forecast tower. But now that jetpacks have been vaulted, forecast towers are a lot stronger. Not being able to just go straight to a zone if you don't pull it, just teleporting across the zone or crash padding or launch padding, means that knowing where the zone pulls all of a sudden gains a lot of value. So expect to see a lot more fights around these forecast towers, and it means if Clix and Veno can get it uncontested, that is a little bit of buff for them despite having the jetpacks removed, which I do think affects them negatively overall. The other big change we have is we have Chap and Teeny leaving Reckless Railways, no longer contesting Vcon Flixie, instead trying their hand at contesting Job and Michael over at the Underworld. Now, it looks like from what I've heard from them, they also want to try and take the bunker that Rise and Yuma are landing on, so I'm guessing they like their chances fighting around this part of the map against teams from smaller regions rather than trying to take on the EU FNCS champions. And ultimately, I have to agree. So we'll see how that plays out for them at the LAN. Chap has actually not been playing in any of the FNCS global scrims, but Teeny has been playing alongside Otmo, who's filling in, and Teeny and Otmo, despite both being on EU ping, have actually won multiple games and looking really, really good. So I can't see why Teeny would do worse with Chap than Otmo, his actual duo mate, but right now they're actually looking really, really solid, and I'm excited to see what this means for them. Other than that, the only other big change we have that I can really speak of is Kazi and Aspect, the OCE team, have moved back to the Raft. So we don't really know what's going on with Swizzy because, again, Vanya hasn't actually gotten his visa yet, and a bit of a development on the Tayson story. Tayson has actually gotten banned for 14 days for apparently toxicity. Now, we don't know exactly what this is for, but a lot of people are pointing towards the fact that after being denied being able to play with Swizzy at the LAN, no longer being able to play as a Phil, he decided he would post the photo of the employee who works at Blast, who's been making the decisions around who can and cannot play in the tournament. Now, again, I guess this could be seen as a form of targeted harassment. It is the employee's profile picture though, so Tayson was saying, I don't see what's toxic about sharing the profile picture that you've posted publicly of yourself. Either way, it's all a little bit messy. We don't even know exactly what Tayson's been banned for, but it looks like Tayson not only will not be attending the LAN event, he's not going to be playing any cash cups for the next couple weeks either. I know a lot of you guys keep asking me, am I going to be posting my predictions ahead of the LAN event? Yes, I obviously will be making my predictions coming into the LAN event. I've been watching a whole bunch of the scrims on my Twitch channel. They've been super exciting. Manu is absolutely killing it with the Vital Discord. We've been getting some of the best scrims we've ever seen. Whole bunch of NA Global Champs teams. We've even had King and Phaser from Brazil playing. We've had Asia players playing with Zagu. We've had a lot of Europeans playing. It's been super stacked, and I have been following who's looking really good, but I need to see the drop map fully solidify. Until I know where everyone's dropping, I can't make proper predictions because it changes so much with a single team switching drops.